So we are here to talk about wine. We run over 65 cruises every year, which are wine cruises, for those who've got an extra interest in wine. And we have, as Simeon mentioned earlier, we have a wine host. So that wine host has their own vineyard. They're really experiencing the whole wine world. And usually really qualified in different aspects of wine as well. And they will do on board up to 3 lectures. It depends, 2 to 3 lectures on board. They will tell you all about the wine. They'll pair it with food. They'll get you to blend your own wines. So it's really interesting. They're on board for the whole of that cruise as well. So they don't just pop on for certain days. So you can get to chat with them and get to know all about their vineyards and learn some hints and tips. So that's really interesting to be able to have them there all the time to do that. In addition to that, we have one evening where there's a Lecham dinner, and with all their wines, that particular vineyard will bring their wines on. They will talk during the meal and just tell you all about the wines and give you little cards with all the information on. So that's really interesting as well. And then on the sip and sail cocktail, they'll have one evening where they host the sip and sail, so they'll also bring on board their own wines. And for the first time this year, we've actually got a UK vineyard on, which is Chapel Down. And so we're really excited about that. They're doing an itinerary in November on the Couto, which is the melodies of the Danube. So if you're interested in, sparklings and gins and beers, that might be something you might want to look at, in addition to the French rivers that we're going to tell you about. So yeah, it's just really interesting to go on, enjoy their experience, and obviously they come with you to the excursion. So there's additional excursions to the different vineyards where you can go, and you can, they will compare their wines, not derogatory manner, just there's different benefits of different wines. So it's quite nice to see their take on their wines against, say, the French wines or the German wines. So it's quite informative and
Rachel?
a really cool cruise.
Sorry, I was just going to say, you mentioned the Danube River and wines. Actually, on my last Danube cruise with Amma, I learned about wines in Vienna. Vienna, the only city in Europe that has vineyards in the city, and they make sparkling wine in the traditional champagne fashion. Can't call it champagne, of course, but
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, there's always plenty to see.
Absolutely. So the Chapel Down one is actually doing that itinerary, which is going to Vienna and having that extra tour to the vineyard, to that vineyard or winery, I should call it, in Vienna. So yeah, it's very interesting. So some of the wine,
and sparkling wine in Vienna. It's a good combination.
Yeah. Great combination. So I'm now going to pass over to the lovely Rachel, my colleague, who's very experienced in most of the rivers. I don't know if there's a river Rachel hasn't actually been on, and she's going to take it away and tell us all about the French rivers. So over to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. You have a lovely name. Beautiful.
Yes.
You just made me miss my job even more. No? Good afternoon, everyone. A big hello here from Barcelona. That's where I'm locked down at the moment, waiting for the ships to go back to the rivers. This is actually my 10th year anniversary with Ama Waterways today, actually. Today.
Oh, well done.
Got an email from 10 years. So I started when I was 15. Yeah. No, but really, I'm so happy to be able to be here with you sharing my passion, which is France. So as a cruise manager, I've been in all the rivers, all the ships, absolutely everything, but France has my heart. Somehow it's really close to me. The experience of being the whole week, or maybe 10 days or maybe 15 days in the same country is a different way of cruising. For me, many people know France already. It's the most visited country in the whole planet. At least it was until 2019. And there's a reason why we have this happening, and it's because France is magical. Many of you have been there. Many of you know Paris or have been to Provence by train, by plane, by car, but by river ship, not that many. And the beautiful things you can see from the sun deck, from your cabin, from the lounge are just mind-blowing. And when we're talking about wine cruises, you have to say that France is the star of the show here. I remember the first year when we were introducing wine cruises, we had 8 of them, all of them in France, right? It was on the Seine and on the Rhone. Then we started with the Danube, then we started with the Rhine, and now 2022, next year, they have 102 on the list. So from 8 to 102, they really became quite popular. And when we have them in France, it's just a feast for the eyes, for the smell. I have to say as well, what I love about wine cruises is that people are very friendly after dinner, like after 5 courses with paired wine. It's very easy to make friends. It's, for me, one recommendation on my side. If you're traveling solo, it's a great opportunity to travel solo because you have many solo travelers on those sailings. So it's great for you to connect with new people from all over. You have a great mix of Americans, Europeans, people from all over that want to get to know a little bit more about wine, right? In France, nowadays we have 3 programs, one on the Seine with the Amalira, one on the Rhone with the Amacello, and another one in Bordeaux with the Amadolce. We're going to go over a little bit all of them now, and afterwards, in the end, we're going to focus on the new programs that we have from this year on, 2021, with the Ama Cristina, brand new, beautiful ship, moving to the Rhone, because Rhone is one of our most popular cruises. It was very difficult, believe me, to book a cabin for the Colors of Provence cruise. The Amacello was always full, and it was so popular that they moved the ship, the Ama Cristina, that was making the Rhine. So she was up and down the Rhine. She was moved now the whole winter traveling until she got to France. And now we have 2 ships on the Rhone and 2 on the Seine as well. We'll go over that a little bit later. So now we can begin talking a little bit about the Rhone. If I'm not mistaken, we begin by the Rhone, everybody, so we can start changing the slides aboard the Ama Cristina. That's the beautiful ship that is going to be arriving now, beginning of March. She will be already in Lyon, getting ready for you in April, hopefully. We'll be there in April. I'll be there for the first sailing. And what I would love to stress, let's suppose, okay, Rachel, you're talking about wine, but I'm not into wine, although I'm interested in the area. I have to say that the wine cruise is a cruise of plus. So it's not instead of, it's plus. You have all the excursions, plus the activities on board by the host, plus the wine activities outside, all of them included. You just need to choose. You can tailor-make your cruise regarding to your interests. So even if you're not that into wine, you can, for example, that's one of the reasons why I love the Rhone, bike, right? In every single stop, except one day, except Tournon. All the other days we have a bike tour included for you. You just need to come to me, to the cruise manager, once you get on board, and we can sign you up. The bike tours are included. Just we have a limited size of 22 per bike ride for security reasons. The bikes are traveling with us, right? And we have 2 guides going with you in each excursion. The Via Rhona is a bike lane that goes from Geneva in Switzerland all the way to Marseille on the Mediterranean. So you have, during summer, it's so beautiful to see families, Europeans traveling all the way, especially now after COVID. Even last summer, it was very popular. I was doing that. So in August 2020, when we had the kind of break of lockdown here in Barcelona, we went along the Rhone. It was magical. You will have the opportunity of doing so if you want, in different stretches, right? Once in Lyon, another day in Vienna, even in the Beaujolais. I think the next slide we have is of the vineyards of the Beaujolais. So you can even bike between vineyards. That's magical, right? You can have a biking and then a wine tasting, never a wine tasting then a biking for security reasons. We wanted to arrive in one piece, right? Back to the ship. We've seen some tragedy happening before. But it is really not only about wine, it's about the landscape that you're going to see, the history. I mean, we have grapes being harvested that since the Romans, when they were first coming, and then making everything, turning everything into vineyards. So you're going to learn a lot about Roman history as well, although you are in France. So through wine, magical. We get to Lyon. I have to say, Lyon, one of my favorite stops there on the Rhone River. It's a city where you have the confluence where 2 rivers meet. So from Beaujolais area, the last slide you saw, you have the Saône River, which is the sister river of the Rhone, and the 2 of them, they meet in Lyon, which is the capital of the region we are going to be visiting, the Rhône-Alpes region of France. And I just have to say, it's magical to be there. We are docked right in the heart of the center. We have a whole day in Lyon. It is known to be the gastronomical capital of France. That's a big statement, a big statement. You have the most amount of Michelin restaurants in France there in Lyon. So it is just amazing to be able to go have an experience outside and come back, spend your evening on board. You can even go biking to the restaurant. Many of you do that, but maybe I wouldn't suggest doing that because coming back you'll be quite happy. And we continuing going down to Vienna. That's the second stop we have, the third actually if you're coming from Beaujolais. Vienna is all about Roman history, but as well, what I love about this picture is that you have a great idea of the history, right? And all the clash of civilizations. We have Celts, we have Romans, we have even Greek, some part of it, and the French coming. So all the history that we have in this small little city is very small. We go, I think it's 25 minutes with the car between Vienna and Lyon, but with the ship it takes about 5 hours. We're talking about the first lock. We have a total of 10 locks. We'll talk about locks later when you are on board. We're going to explain that for you. But it's super interesting to see as we are arriving. You can see this picture is beautiful because it captures exactly where the Rhone starts meandering through the Alps, kind of the Alps, Alpilles, we call this region. And you have the fortress up here, right, which dates back to the Franks. Down there, you have all Roman history. You have an amphitheater, you have a big church. And on the other side, you have the hills, infinite hills of vineyards that you can actually bike to. And a little chateau that sometimes they open it for us, especially during wine cruises. So that's what I was saying. It's a plus. You can actually choose between a hike. So I'm feeling adventurous today. I want a little bit more activity. You can hike up the chateau with a guide, or you can bike to a vineyard. Or no, you know what? I just want to take it easy. So there will be a little surprise picking you up on the ship and taking you for a round in the city center of Vienna. We continue when we go to Tournon. One beautiful little stop. Look, you are already in the heartland of vineyards. You're talking about here Hermitage wines. For those of you who like bold red wines, this is a dream come true. We have some of you who love hiking and you like to hike up the Hermitage mountain, exactly what you're seeing there. We have a hike up there, huh? So it's very nice. There is a very nice reward for those of you who are up for the challenge. Or you can, inside of the castle of Chateau or Tournon, that's the little tower of the chateau, you can visit it and have a paired tasting of chocolate and wine. I don't know if you're ready for that. Chocolate and wine. Amazing, huh? It's from 10 a.m. Normally, it's supposed to last from 10 to 10:30, but normally I have to go and pick you up by the hair. Let's go, the ship is leaving at 12:30 because it's just amazing. What I love about this excursion, I have to give you some hints because I have so many options. I'm giving you my favorites here. So in Tournon, in that excursion, the chocolate master, actually the chocolatier, is making the chocolate that morning for us. So we never know what it's going to be. It's always a surprise, depending on the fresh products of the season and as well with the wine we're going to pair, right? So you don't buy this chocolate, you don't have it anywhere. It is done for us only. So it's a real plus. And sometimes during wine cruises, we have this visit done in the night. So once we arrive, we have dinner on board, and afterwards, when everything is illuminated, we go for an evening tasting of chocolate and wine inside of the chateau. Beautiful. One reason plus for you to come on one of our wine cruises or wine cruises. We go as well, we give you the opportunity of going to a visit along the gorge of another river, the Dour River there in France, for you to see one of the oldest steam trains in France, still going since the end of the 1800s. It is beautiful for those of you who love nature, and one big example that you do not need to worry about not enjoying wine. We have an option from every single one of you. That excursion also runs during wine cruises. So let's suppose I'm not into chocolate, Rachel. I don't like chocolate, or I don't want to hear about wine at 10 a.m. in the morning. No problem. There is a beautiful steam train waiting for you, nature lovers, to spend a wonderful morning just enjoying the untouched nature and the gorges of the Dour River. We continue and we go to my favorite stop. For that picture is amazing. Arles, ladies and gentlemen, one of the hardest cities for you to pronunciate, Arles. So this is mute, not Arles. Arles is very close to my heart. It is the city of Van Gogh. So we like to say it as well. We have a combination of so many things. It's almost the end of our cruise. We are almost at the Mediterranean. The temperatures go up by 10 degrees sometimes. Sometimes when we are in Lyon, we have cold. We are there. Or with our jackets, and we get to Arles, we can put our summer shorts out because it's beautiful weather. A lot of home history. You have the visit of the amphitheater and the arena included. So you go with your guides. It's a very short walk from the ship. Actually, in basically all of our excursions, that's a beautiful thing about the Rhone, we go walking. The city is right there, right off the ship. So let's suppose after dinner, we have overnight, every night in France, overnight. So you can just walk, you know, I want to walk my dinner out, or I just want to see the locals and go stroll a little bit, you can, absolutely no problem. And the same in Arles. It's a city that is great for souvenir shopping, great for you that love museums. This scarf, I bought it there actually because Van Gogh was living in Arles for 3 years, and in 1 year he painted the majority of his masterpieces right there. Starry Night or Place du Café, all are there, and you'll be able to see it and discover with your guides. I think the next slide as well is also about Arles, and it's showing you a little bit of the colors I'm talking about. I have to say that you have to go to the sun deck to see the sunset in Arles. Please make sure you do that. It's a magical moment. For me, one of the highlights of the cruise, because it is basically one of the last nights we have on board. I love to finish dinner and then have everybody on board up for a glass of wine, music. We have some surprises for you, and we can just see the sunset exactly at the same spot where Van Gogh was 100 years ago. So it's mind-blowing. It's very emotional. I get the goosebumps just thinking about it. I just want to go back, please. Very good. And then Avignon, we are not over yet, but that's the final stop of our Colors of Provence cruise. It's a beautiful little city as well. This is the Pont Avignon. There's a whole legend behind it. And the Papal Palace right behind. You're going to visit. It is included in your city tour. Together with your guides, you're going to discover which used to be the heads of the Catholicism in Europe in the 1400s. So in the 1400s, we actually moved from Italy to France. I'm not going to spoil you the story behind it, but you're going to discover with your guide one of the wonders of France. And for those of you who are a little bit more adventurous, you can do it by bike. So you can go on a bike ride along the River Rhone with your guides and cross the river to the other side. There's a beautiful island full of nature right in the middle of Avignon, and you're going to see the Papal Palace from another perspective. So actually this picture was taken by someone that took the bike ride. So it's a beautiful point of view as well of the city. We continue, which is moving areas. So we leave Provence and we go to Aquitaine. We go to Bordeaux, ladies and gentlemen, which is our, used to be, no? Because in 2021, we will have new itineraries, but this is our newest itinerary as per now. So as until 2020, the Amadolce was moved as well from the Netherlands to Bordeaux to the River Garonne, and we take you to a trip through the heartland of wine in France, or maybe in the world, let's say. For those of you who like bold wines, the Dolce will be your home for the next week. What I love about this cruise is actually the pre-extension as well, which is done in the Basque Country in Spain. So we have 4 days in Bilbao and San Sebastian. That's quite a popular one. The post-extension takes you to the Loire Valley in France. Saint-Emilion is the stop I have to stress for this itinerary. It is magical. I've never seen something like that. Can be my favorite stop in France of all the cities, because I was not expecting that, really. The first time I went was 5 years ago. I was expecting, okay, wine, little village, you can taste some wine, cobblestone streets, but you have to go to actually see it, to actually experience what I'm telling you. There is a monolithic church that is built under the ground. So it's all on the ground, you can't see it. Have to go with your guide. The guides have a key, otherwise you cannot go in. And there's a series of legends behind that. They have a fertility chair. What is that? I'm not going to spoil. Amazing. The stories behind are amazing. You have all the myths behind Eleanor of Aquitaine, Richard the Lionheart, for our guest from the UK market, very important. She was his mother. So you're going to discover a lot about the links between the UK and France. So Saint-Emilion has a huge role on that. And if you are a history lover like myself, it is a very important stop in our Garonne River cruise up in Bordeaux. We're moving on.
Quite good from there too.
You can bike there too.
Yeah, the wines are pretty good in Saint-Emilion.
A little bit, huh? Just, I will never forget 3,500 euros bottle. amazing, huh? Just a little bit, You will find amazing places also if you just want to. You have pretty much free time there, pretty good free time to sit down and enjoy with macaron or escargot for those of you who are a little bit more on the edgy side. You can go and pair your Bordeaux wine, Saint-Emilion wine with French dishes as well. It's all about palate and experiences there, right? We continue to Libourne, which is a very nice surprise, the second biggest city of the region. And the ship is docked right there. We have half a day. And my recommendation for Libourne, ladies and gentlemen, is actually the market. The market of Libourne is beautiful. If you are a cheese lover, you'll be in heaven. You can actually smell it from the ship. It's not feet, it's the cheese, huh? But it is just amazing. And if you're there, like normally we are on Wednesday morning when it's actually flea market day, it was just so nice to see all the little stands selling everything from used pens to caviar, all kinds of cheese, these beautiful wine bottles that you can, I have to stress that that's very important, especially during a wine cruise. What happens if I buy a bottle of wine and I want to have it on board? Can I? No problem whatsoever. You can bring whatever wine you bought on a wine tasting, on a market, on a supermarket. And we have 2 euro wines that are amazing there in France as well. You can bring that to the ship and just have it. The crew will be happy to help you serve. You can share with your friends. You can bring them to the sun deck. Absolutely no problem. And Libourne is a great option for you to do so in one of the beautiful markets they have there. We continue traveling. I think, see, that's one example. Beautiful fresh food you have there, seafood. You're talking about Bordeaux. We are almost at the sea, right? We're almost at the sea, so you have all this fantastic seafood. On board, we have one beautiful seafood buffet and an oyster and champagne tasting, but I cannot say anymore because otherwise I spoil it. But we do have a morning of that when you come back. Chateau Roquetaillade, I have to say, it's the favorite excursion of the guests. Normally, when we finish the cruises, the guests, they fill out a questionnaire, and often I read, which one was your favorite excursion? Roquetaillade Chateau. So this castle, ladies and gentlemen, which is actually intact from the 1700s. You're going to have the full visit of it, all of it. It's a whole afternoon visit. Mind-blowing to see how is it still functioning, the kitchen still functioning the way it was, right? And the visit is done by someone very special that you have to go on a cruise to discover who it is. But it is amazing to be able to feel, it's like traveling back in time, like medieval. You are back in the medieval era and learning all about the history and going to all the secret corners. They are going to show it to you. But I have to tell you that the main attraction is the person that does the visit, so our guide, and the goat. There's a moat full of goat, but they're so cute. They're just so cute, and the guests, they go absolute crazy with them because they're white. So they're typical Aquitaine, and they're white, and they have quite of a French attitude, I have to say. So they look down on you. Although they are down there, but they know they have a French passport and you don't. So we love those goats because they are just amazing. So Chateau Roquetaillade is one excursion you have the option of choosing. I would definitely recommend that one because, as you know, and as Rachel told you before, in all of our ports, we offer 1, 2, 3, 4 options, all of them included. In France, everything is included, all the excursions. So this would be one I would put a little star, an asterisk, and for you to have in mind, okay, somebody told me about this castle with the goat, that one, please pick it, go, unforgettable, amazing. Me, myself, I always go. It's 5 years I have been going there. I always go, have to say hello to the goat, please. This is just an example of the beautiful chateaus we're going to see in our Fronsac excursion. Fronsac is the region of wine, one of the most famous wine regions in Bordeaux area. And we have a whole afternoon of gentle bus / walking / wine visit. And we're just passing by Chateau Lafitte. Imagine there, we're taking pictures. And then afterwards, for wine cruises, the tasting, they go to different places. So that's important to check with your travel agent before which ones are going to be, because they change regarding to the time of the year you're going to, and which host is going with you as well. That's very important to have in mind. I think my camera is gone now, but you can still hear me because I'll be back super soon.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
You can still see me now, no? Great. I think I'm back. Yeah. the goat was the guilty one. So just an idea of the vineyards and the excursions you're going to have when you have wine cruises. I have to say that the wine hosts we have are pretty amazing. They do a great job explaining you, comparing wine from the USA with European wines, also giving a bit deeper information about the wines you're going to taste on board and ashore. And also sometimes they interact with the guides we have and the local hosts and as well the owners of the vineyard. So this is super interesting to see how the approach towards wine can be so different, but at the same time, you enjoy it all together, right? These are my notes from all the wine cruises I've done, right? We have some stains of wine here. Let's not go into that. Okay, but it's really Bordeaux. If you are a wine lover, on top of that, you can pick up a wine cruise, and that's going to be really just a blast. Really, we continue. I think, and now we're moving. Now we are moving to Bordeaux, where we begin and where we end. This is a actual, like the Rhone was from Lyon down to Avignon, and it would disembark in Avignon. Bordeaux, it's very important for you to know, it's a circular cruise. So you begin in Bordeaux and you finish in Bordeaux. Okay, that's very important for you to know. Bordeaux is the capital of Aquitaine. Beautiful city, so rich. Huh? They call it the Paris of the Southwest. It's just gorgeous. The ship once again docked right there, right in the city center. You can walk and have dinner in one of the best restaurants of France. Cité du Vin, why do we have a picture here? That is as well very, it's the shape of a decanter. It's a museum dedicated to wine, right? The last floor used to be, I don't know now after COVID how the situation is going to be, but before it used to be a place where you could taste wine from all over the world. I don't know, have you been there already? Any of you, maybe? No? That's quite an experience. Many of you go with the bike from the ship there. The bike tour actually finishes there after a round of Bordeaux City Center. You finish there. You all have a visit and a little bit of tasting of a wine that you choose from wherever. And it is included in your city tour because the visit itself of Cité du Vin is 15 euros. So 15 per person. You have to book a slot. You don't have to worry with that. When you are with us, it's all taken care of. And you're going with your guide, with your time slot. And voila, you say goodbye to Bordeaux, which I think is our next slide. Bordeaux, look at that, beautiful. You have this imperial French vision. You have to imagine that then Aquitaine was not France. They were fighting Paris and Bordeaux, two big cities, two different kingdoms, let's put it like this. So you have to understand the architecture as well, being quite opulent and quite imperial, but not the same kingdom. That's very important for you to understand, and a lot of history for you to discover. One hint from my side is if you have free time, which you do, a whole free afternoon in Bordeaux, make sure you visit the Fine Arts Museum. One of the most beautiful I've seen here in Europe. You have to spend some time there. Important, ask your cruise manager for the tickets, because otherwise you're going to queue in line quite a long time. So day one, hey Rachel, or whoever is there, can you help me with tickets for the Fine Arts Museum? No problem, she will do it for you, or he, and they will print it, and there you go, even with a little bike, very French, with a baguette under your arm, right? So you can enjoy it somewhere around near the museum. Beautiful, really gorgeous. And I think we're moving region. We leave Bordeaux, we leave Aquitaine, we go a little bit up north to Normandy aboard the Amalira, ladies and gentlemen. Also a cruise that started in 2013, became so popular last year, I think, on Normandy, which is again a circular cruise from Paris back to Paris. So we go from Paris all the way to the Manche Channel, so the English Channel, back to Paris again, right? So boarding in Paris, finishing in Paris. And last year I had 4 of those cruises. None of them I had free cabins, except the wine cruise with the glasses. You were so right. 1 cabin for glasses, huh? But beginning in Paris, this is actually not exactly that, but that's what we see from the ship embarking, boarding in Paris. We can see the Eiffel Tower. For me, that is amazing. I'm always joking with the guests saying it's the only cruise that if we never cruise, we are okay here as well. Because you go up to the sun deck and you have the whole of Paris, the mighty Seine. It will be our home for the next week. And what can I stress about this cruise? Okay, it's a lot about impressionism, it's a lot about war as well, World War II. We're talking about Normandy beaches. Wine, we do have wine regions that are as well not as known, but we do have. But the change on the landscape, I think none of the rivers in Europe, they give that to you. From Paris, one of the biggest cities in the planet, you go to the ocean, right? So you're passing, the Seine is really like a snake, so it's meandering through fields of lavender. Sometimes we do have a bit of lavender in Normandy, although you might not know. Chateaus, all these rocks, these cliffs, these gorges that you didn't expect. That was the cows, the Normandy cows, for sure you heard about it, that they have glasses. So they are white with glasses. They're looking, like very good French, looking what we are doing. They're judging you as well. Be sure of that. They're also judging you. But the change of the landscape is just amazing. And then we end by the English Channel, so you can see the ocean. That's a very good example. Look at that. You leave Paris. You leave Paris by 10 p.m., so lights everywhere. You can see cars, all the beautiful skyscrapers, the Eiffel Tower. You go to bed. We have 3 locks. You wake up and you have this. Chateau Gaillard, ladies and gentlemen, that was built by Richard the Lionheart himself in 1 year, one of the fastest constructions in history. During the medieval times, nowadays you don't have much left except the walls and the tower. You're going to visit with your guide, and it's nature, it's pure nature, right? The birds that you can see there, if you are a bird lover, all that region of the Seine, go to the sun deck, because you're going to, you're up for a treat there. Chateau de Gaillard is one of our favorite excursions on Normandy, not only because of the history that it comprises, but because of the nature viewpoint. You can go there with your guide, hiking up or down, okay? If you feel like, imagine that the ship is here near this little island, right? This island you can see in the middle of the river. The ship is more or less on the side of the city here. More or less, that's where the ship is located, meaning it's about 30 minutes up, 30 minutes down. You always go with your guide, no problem. But let's suppose now I'm not up for a hike. I want to see the castle, but in a comfort way. There is a bus bringing you up and down, no problem. There is also the opportunity of going with the bikes. Okay, we do have a bike ride for you offered in Chateau Gaillard, and the guests, they absolutely love it. On a wine cruise, that will be a morning tour, and the afternoon is free for you to enjoy whilst we are cruising the wine region, the short, small little wine region of Normandy, and we are going to have activities on board with the host, so she or he will be explaining a little bit more about Normandy wines and wines in France in general. So it's a perfect program for the day, so you can relax after a morning of full of emotions. Honfleur, ladies and gentlemen, as well, one of the favorites of our guests, is the hometown, is the birthplace of Impressionism. We're talking about Monet, Degas, you name it, they have been there painting. It is a morning excursion included. You leave it from the ship, let's say at 9. It became so popular, and what I love about Ama Waterways is that they really, really hear what you're talking about. So we used to have mornings, so from 9 to 12 in Honfleur. And it was such a popular destination. Guests, they love so much. They were asking for more time, more time, more time, that we have extended our excursion, and we also offer a shuttle bus system back and forth. Ship to Honfleur is about 30 minutes, right? Okay. And you can go and come back as you please, which is beautiful. We're even giving you the option. This is amazing. That's why I love this company. Let's suppose, no, Rachel, I want to go in the morning. I want to enjoy the markets. I want to enjoy all the antique shops they have there. Gorgeous. Or have an oyster lunch, have a typical Normandy lunch of seafood, and come back at 7 p.m. But the last bus leaves at 5. No problem. You get a taxi, you come back to the ship, and your cruise manager will reimburse you. I think that's quite amazing. So we pay your taxi for you to come back home and enjoy dinner. And normally that's the day of our onboard wine pair dinner that Rachel was talking about, which is amazing, which is about 6 wines paired with each course. So make sure you don't lose that ever, please, because it's gorgeous. Following day, we have the biggest day of all is the day that starts at 7 a.m. and starts at 7 p.m. from Honfleur, so near that area, from Le Havre, actually. We will get the bus and we will ride to the Normandy coast, where we had all of that going on the day. And you have 3 options. I get this question a lot. Okay, but I'm from the UK, I'm from Canada, you know, we visited different areas. You have the 3 options. Okay, UK landing beaches, US or Canadian. So you just tell your cruise manager, and there you go. You have your excursion tailor-made according to what you want to see and what you want to get to know a little bit more. It is a very long day indeed, 2 hours and 10 each way, okay, each way. But the landscape is beautiful. You're going to hear a lot. Sometimes we are lucky enough to have some ceremonies inside. Sometimes we are even luckier to hear from actually survivors that were there whilst that was all going on in July. And it can be quite moving, especially when we have onboard guests that are veterans. It happens quite a lot, right? And they're going to the excursion as well. And normally when you come back to the ship, that day is, we call it an evening of awareness. We have a little thing on board. I cannot say what it is again, but it's something to bring us all together and pay tribute to all of those that lost their lives fighting for us to be free, right? So it is one of the reasons why people book a cruise to Normandy as well, right? Rouen will be on our way back to Paris, the capital of Normandy, ladies and gentlemen. You're talking about Joan of Arc here as well. You're going to discover a lot about her. She was burned at stake there, and her ashes were thrown on the Seine. Full day in Rouen. You have a full afternoon to explore the city, which is like a music box. I don't know if you've been there already in Rouen. Beautiful, just beautiful. I love it. Also, we offer a bike ride. We offer one of the most famous excursions in Rouen is actually the pear chocolate and waffles. We do have waffles there as well. Huh? And the free afternoon for you to enjoy and discover. And I think that's it for Rouen. For now, we are not finished yet with Normandy because we go to Vernon and Giverny. This is the feast for the eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Is a festival of nature. We're talking about Giverny Gardens, which is the next slide, and you'll be able to learn a lot about Monet, where he was actually, these books, all the books that I have from there, really amazing, all that you can see, and you're going to be seeing it live, learning a little bit more about why he decided to move from Paris to Vernon and Giverny. You're going to visit all of it. You're going to visit his house as well that he was actually living, see some of his masterpieces that are actually there, some of them, right? And if you come in spring, you're in for a big surprise. So if you can choose between April and June, Festival of Colors, really, just gorgeous to see it right there. The Japanese garden, I know it sounds weird, I'm talking about Japanese garden and in France, but the Japanese garden there is mind-blowing. I was not expecting that, and it's one of my favorite places to see. Just sit and hide sometimes from the crowds. The gift shop is dangerous. I've lost, I think, 30 guests there because the exit is through the gift shop, and yeah, I have to get with the umbrella. Let's go, because it's like a museum, honestly. Beautiful. And with that, following day, we are already in Paris saying goodbye to the Amalira and the lovely crew. For 2021, as I was telling you before, we have 2 new itineraries because both Normandy and Provence are very popular. We have moved the Amadante to the Seine, and she will be doing a special cruise that goes from Paris to Le Havre, so doesn't come back to Paris, okay, straight, Paris to Le Havre. And afterwards, you have the option of going for a post extension in Saint-Malo and visiting Saint-Malo, Dinan, and Mont Saint-Michel. That's quite a trip, huh? One of the most visited sites of Paris, and I think we can see it on the next slide. You can even see it. Okay, oh la la, eh? That's the plan for the post extension, Saint-Malo and Mont Saint-Michel. And moving on to Burgundy and Provence, ladies and gentlemen, on board the Amacello. The Amacello, oh, she's the queen of my heart, is like seeing home. I want to go back. Amacello, ladies and gentlemen, who I have to say is the crew I have been working the longest, is the crew of the Amacello, and they are just so lovely. They are part of the furniture already. I have this joke with them because it's just everybody. We have this saying that the Amacello is not the most modern one, not the newest one, but the crew is just so heartwarming. They make you feel home. And we do have people that come back to the Amacello, to the same itinerary, just to see them again. And that is so, it's true, like, it's incredible. Like Olivia, they know Olivia at reception, Miroslav at the bar, the captains, they cannot be more French, which is hilarious because sometimes they come down and they interact with all of us, and they like to give, I love that, some French lessons to the guests. So they get the microphone. How do you say this? And it's hilarious. You can die of laughter because they love to interact with guests. They love to come down and dance. I have this joke that's why they don't stay overnight. They love to stay with us after dinner as well. So that's why we always have overnight. They say it's because the locks are closed.
Holding court.
Oh, now come on. Huh? No. So what is beautiful about this itinerary, ladies and gentlemen, is because it's covering a new area of France that we have not been there before with the river ship. I was lucky enough to be there in 2016 with the Amacello for a cruise of Harvard. So Harvard went on a special cruise, Burgundy and Provence. And from that cruise that was so popular and so beautiful, we discovered so much, we decided to come with a new itinerary for this year, and now it's working, and I'm really looking forward to begin working there. We do have a pre-extension this time, not in Paris nor in Barcelona, because previous cruise, Colors of Provence, you have the chance of beginning or finishing it in Paris or Barcelona, you choose, right? Now we're talking about Geneva, so a pre-extension of 3 days in beautiful Geneva, Switzerland. It's all about not chocolate only, not watches only, but nature. A lot for me, Geneva is nature, and and very expensive public transportation. Right, but it's beautiful, and to see how things work, right? I will never forget the metro station asking us for forgiveness for 20 seconds delay of the train. The train will be delayed 20 seconds. Really? You can get your ticket back refunded. So it's amazing to see how things work in Switzerland. You're also talking about United Nations. They do have a headquarters there. I recommend it for the free time to visit, to see the entrance hall. It's beautiful. Huh? Many people disregard that, but it's something that I would do in my free time. Also, you do have included excursions in that one. When we go into Geneva, we're going as well for a morning to France because it's really nearby, Annecy. It's on the menu for those of you who have been there. So we have the Swiss Alps there, the Lake Geneva that is actually fed as well by the River Rhone. So the River Rhone is one of the sources of Lake Geneva. So we're going to see it almost near its source. Annecy will be as well included in that excursion, in that pre-extension. I think we have a picture. So you can see on the next slide. Look at this. For me, it looks like Italy. A bit of Venice, a bit of Tuscany, a little bit with the bridges and the mountains and the colors. So it's a completely different architecture style than the rest of France, than what you're going to see on the Rhone of Burgundy. They call it the Venice of the Alps, actually, there, because you do have pretty view of the Alps. France is one side and the other side is Switzerland, so have lunch in France. It's cheaper. I always have this question, like people, I'm gonna wait till I get to the hotel. No, eat here. Like 1/3 the price, please. So it's just beautiful to see how different can it be, and it's so close, like 40 minutes, 50 minutes drive, but it's like a little dream. Actually, many movies from Disney were based, so they flew there, and they were based in what they saw there, right? The cartoons. So it's included. It's beautiful, and for those of you who are a little bit more on the adventurous side, you can go paragliding in the Alps in Annecy. Something to think about. It's nice, huh? It's nice, huh? If you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, after wine, we are all we can go. Or after paying a 200 euro menu for water and bread in Switzerland. We can have that, right? And then we continue on the afternoon. We have Chillon Castle in Switzerland. That's gorgeous. Very close by, you can see it really like Lake Geneva, original, exactly as it was from the 1400s. And you're going to visit with the guide. She's going to tell you everything. For those of you who misbehave, you end in prison. They have prison there, still working. So watch out for the timing in the gift shop, please. That's very important. We continue and we board already. The Amacello will be waiting for us on the Saône River. So one cruise, two rivers. One cruise, two rivers. We begin on the Saône. I told you, remember that she's like the sister, the ninth sister of the Rhone, and they meet in Lyon. So this time we're going to board a little bit up, so up in the north, because the Ama Cristina on the Colos of Provence, we go just a little bit, just until Beaujolais. This is almost the whole zone. And the Saône is considered itself, so the banks of the Saône, one of the most beautiful rivers in the whole of France. So it's quite worth seeing it. Chalon is our boarding place. You're going to hear a lot about wine. We're talking about, if France is already quite important in the wine scenario, the French themselves, they have the discussion that between Burgundy and Bordeaux, we have the most important wine regions in the whole of the country. So imagine if for the French is important, we have to go and check it out, right? You're talking about Mâconnais, Lyonnaise, Chalonnaise, all Côte d'Or. You're all going to taste it as well and visit it, especially during a wine tasting cruise. Amazing, just beautiful. We keep going down, so we board. Look at this. Wow, huh? And can we imagine this was built as a hospital for the less fortunate?
That's the back of it. That's the bit they weren't very proud about.
Exactly. Exactly. But like seeing it for the first time, at least for me, I was blown away. You were talking about Vienna before. So the structure of all the work in the rooftop was based more or less by St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna. Remember, so the Dukes of Burgundy, they have been a lot to the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Back then we were talking about Austro-Hungarian Empire. So they were impressed by the work and they love all the tiles and different shapes that were right there up in the rooftop in the capital of that empire. And they try to bring it to Burgundy a little bit. So that's quite amazing. Huh? And you're going to visit as well, for those of you who are asking, because whenever I do a webinar about Burgundy, people ask about Dukes of Burgundy and Beaune. Are we going to visit it? Yes, is included. It's day 2 already. So at the beginning of your cruise, so make sure you have a sleep. You sleep good the night before so you don't miss it. That excursion, that is one of the highlights of the new itinerary already. And we continue because there's a lot to cover still. We continue our cruise down. Look at this, huh? The famous rolling hills of Burgundy. We're talking about the Burgundy cows. As I already said, they are white, looking at you. And that's the landscape you see from the ship. So for those of you who are nature lovers, gorgeous, huh? Because it's going to, remember, we're going down all the way. This cruise also ends in Avignon. So from Burgundy Hills to Mediterranean, to Arles, Avignon, Roman Empire, Vienna, Austria-Hungarian, Alps, for those of you who were in Annecy and Geneva. That's in 12 days, 13 days, cruising the face of Europe. So that's one of the reasons why I love cruising in France. It's just so much in a short period of time. Macon, you're going to visit as well. That's one of the new stops. One of the biggest towns there in that region of France. So in Burgundy, you're going to discover a lot about Lamartine. For sure you heard about him already, the man that changed quite a lot of history of France. And you do have a free overnight there, which is important for those of you who ask, because Macon is known by fantastic restaurants right there off the ship. You can go and walk. Also, some of the best croissants in France. My recommendation, early in the morning, worth to walk, wake up, go buy croissant, bring one to me, and we continue cruising down. And we continue with France to Saône. I love this picture. It captures perfect the spirit of the Saône, meandering. It's such a nice pace of cruising. You can enjoy mornings on the sun deck, because sometimes if we're so busy going out and doing things and wine tasting and bicycle tasting and hiking, we forget that the highlight is the actual cruising, right? It's a river cruise. So I loved about this new itinerary on the Saône is that you can go to the sun deck, sit down, enjoy your morning sailing. Nobody's going to judge you on a wine cruise that you're having wine at 8 a.m. You don't need to pretend it's coffee. It's wine cruise. It's fine. We are in France.
It is beautiful, that stretch of the Saône as well. The birds and the nature. It's completely different to the road that you're going to later.
Completely. No, I love it. Like this wine hills, beautiful landscape, the smell of nature early in the morning, right? And then we're getting, let's suppose, to Avignon and Arles, and you see olive fields, lavender fields. So with 3 days of difference, beautiful, right there, all in your face. I just want to give back, come back, and go all the way back to Geneva and do it again and over and over and over. There's always something new you can discover, and it's really not only about wine. As you can see, we finish again after we pass Lyon, because Lyon is also included in that cruise. We finish in Avignon and Arles, so Provence once again, Van Gogh once again, truffles. I have to talk about truffles. Avignon and the truffle farm excursion with the dog, one of the favorites of everybody, that is included as well in that itinerary. And c'est fini la comédie. The wine is finished and we need to go back home.
Well, Rachel, that was absolutely fantastic. What a journey. We've been all around France in about an hour.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's just incredible for all your knowledge and your passion that you bring those itineraries to life. So thank you so much for imparting all that information. I just wanted to summarise what's included in a cruise if you book one of the cruises with us. So all of your dining, all that wonderful food that we've been telling you about, including the night in the chef's table as well. All of your alcoholic drinks and soft drinks are included with your lunch and dinner. You've got complimentary tea, coffee throughout the day and bottled water. Your sip and sell cocktail hour, which is every day before dinner with canapes as well. Your Wi-Fi is included and the in-house movie channels. All of that wellness program should you wish to take part in that. And all of your shore excursions. So it's up to a choice of 4 a day. And on some days you're really lucky, you might get one in the morning and one in the afternoon as well. So pretty much everything in there. Very briefly mentioned, we've got some rail options. So we've enhanced our rail program from London. It's not necessarily direct depending on the itinerary that you go on, but we organise all of the transfers to collect you from the train station, take you to the ship and return you as well. So it's just an option, another option. And if you're interested in self-driving on some of the French itineraries, that'd be certainly feasible. Please get in touch with Alex and Simeon and they'll be able to come to us to tell you about the self-drive options that are available on some of our itineraries as well. And we must touch on this. Obviously, the world's changed in the last year, as we're all very, very aware of. We haven't cruised properly since March because of the current situation. Although last summer, from about July to November, we ran some charters for the German market up and down the Rhine. And whilst on those cruises, we obviously had to put some new protocols in place. This is obviously a very much a movable feast, depending on the rules and regulations and what happens in each country. So that will all be taken into consideration when we start cruising again in the future. Talking about what we did on the Rhine, and some of this will be moving forward. Our staff wore face coverings, and as guests, we just ask guests to wear face coverings when they're moved around the ship. So if you're going from the lounge to your stateroom, for instance, but whilst in your lounge area, you can remove your face coverings. We have put some perspex screens to have some division between the different seating areas, but you can see through and still be able to interact with each other. In terms of shore excursions, we normally only run on small numbers of 20, but last year I think they ran on about 15 because that was the rule at the time. Obviously, you're outdoors a lot with our excursions, and we have the quiet boxes where you have the earphones in and the little boxes so you can listen to your guide and you've still got that distancing. We enhance the cleaning on board. Obviously the standards, because we're 5-star, are incredibly high anyway, but we've just enhanced those. When you go into your dining, if those of you who cruise before, you know you've got the disinfectant stations that you can put on your hands, so there's more of those around the ship. We're very lucky to have some state-of-the-art air conditioning on board, so rather than circulating everything through the ship, there's individual units. So in your stateroom, you've got your own individual unit as well, which helps.
I think it's worth saying, Rachel, if you don't mind just interrupting on that one, I think that's a really good example of how is AMA Waterways different from other cruise companies. So Rudy's designed these ships and has decided, or in fact insisted at the point of design, that each cabin will have its own individual air conditioning, drawing air from outside and not circulating it around the ship, because you know, even before the current situation, recirculated air is not particularly ideal for people, and that's the attention to detail that you're getting when you're getting on an AMA Waterways ship with the AMA Waterways experience. It's, you know, it starts at the very beginning and goes all the way through. So I mean, we've got other stories of the ships, the details on there that have been insisted on from Rudy, and it does, you know, all of these things make a difference to you. I mean, Rudy trained as an architect, so he is aware of all of these details, but it matters. You might not even notice them, but you would notice them if they were not there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The attention to detail is just incredible. Just the little touches with some things as well. And he being the owner and designing the ships, he's just such a super bright man and thinks of everything that you wouldn't necessarily think of. So that's a very good point there. We've also changed the dining because of COVID. As I mentioned, there's no buffet styles moving forward. And we've got that in stateroom dining that you can have. And if you've got a balcony, you can have the balcony dining. And then the final thing, we've always welcomed visitors on board to have a look at the fabulous ships that we're very proud of, but now it's just crew on board and obviously guests as well. There is on our website, we've got an update. So as things change and move with the current situation, we put regular updates on there. And there's also a little video that Christine did, which cover off what we've just briefly touched on there. We've also got currently running on most of the cruising, it's like an insurance which is included. It's called the Ultimate Cruise Flexibility. So you can basically postpone, reschedule or cancel your cruise up to 48 hours prior to departure. There are some T's and C's attached with that, but again, Simon and Alex can send you information on that if you wish to have any. We mentioned, Rachel touched on solo guests. You know, cruising is great for solo travellers. We have a welcome reception parties on board for our single travellers, so you can all get to know each other and hook up with each other if you want to, or just do your own thing. We will encourage you to dine with others and welcome you onto other people's tables if you want to. Obviously, that's optional. And with the small group tours, you can get to know people really quickly. And on those French ships, the 3 of the French ships, we've actually got dedicated single staterooms, which we don't have on all the ships. It's normally a twin, which we sell on for single occupancy. So there are some opportunities.
Yeah, worth mentioning that those single staterooms are French balcony staterooms as well on the French ship. So they're not tucked away in the bottom of the ship. They're just a bit smaller, single bed, still with the floor to ceiling windows in them, and excellent value for solo passengers. But you do need to book them about 2 years in advance because they sell very quickly.
Quickly, absolutely. You might find things are a bit different at the moment, so grab one when you can. Yeah. We've got some special offers. Obviously, I'm just going to hand you back to Simon now. She's going to tell you about a little group that they've got going on in June. Pass you over.
Well, Alex, do that one too.
Yeah, I mean, following on from Rachel's, well, both Rachel's, but from Rachel's actual, experience of the rivers and also of the Amacello, we have taken we are doing a special group on a departure on the 30th of June 2022, which is the Amacello going on the Essence of Burgundy and Provence, which is the new one, which with the Chalon starting point and ending in Avignon with the scenic cruising and all the other things, and obviously the time in the areas that you're in the evenings, so that you can just have your dinner and then do the most beautiful thing to do in France, which is just potter through the streets in the warm evenings of June and just, I'm with you, Rachel.
If by any chance, Rachel might have encouraged you to want to be on one of these cruises, like we'd all desperately want to be on right now.
I mean, we only had to look at this cruise and go, this is just perfect. So we do have some special prices and obviously some special incentives if you'd like to book, which are going through until the 3rd of February. So we can have a look at what will suit you for that one. And obviously, as Rachel mentioned, there are 100 wine cruises with over 100 with Amma as well. So we'd be happy to talk to you about any of those. But yeah, this Provence one is certainly ticked the boxes for us. So we'd like to obviously see as many of you join us on that one as possible. So thank you.
I mean, we don't like to have favourites or anything, but this cruise down through Burgundy and Provence, it was certainly the first one that we did. It was the first one that attracted us into river cruising. I mean, what's not to like? France, food, wine, Provence, rivers.
Cycling through the vineyard, but in Provence as well. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
So, I mean, what I would say now, thank you both to Rachel and Rachel. Really lovely presentation. I'm sure that everybody's got a lot out of that and really given us a flavour of what it's like to be on one of these cruises.
So
thank you, everybody.
If there's any questions anybody would like to ask, there is a chat box. You can just type in the chat there. You can raise your hand and we can take off mute. Appreciate if you don't want to ask a question now and you think of something afterwards, you can always email Simon or Alex and they'll pick up. But we'll just see if there's any quick questions coming through. One of the questions I know we get asked quite a lot is how much free time do you get on these cruises, Rachel? Do you get a lot of free time?
You can actually decide that. You see, what I love about the French cruises is that I was telling you we have overnight always, which is great. That gives you already the evening, right, or around dinner time, and you can always break the tour when you want, depending. Like normally we don't need buses for the excursions in this itinerary. So let's suppose, oh, I don't want to hear, or I found this amazing wine shop that I want to. You have the quiet box that goes on up to 1 kilometer, so you can still hear the guy. That's dangerous. But you do have quite a lot of free time. Normally we try to give free afternoons, right? So you can enjoy, and the free time for sailing is also very, 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 very important. Very, very for you to sit down and enjoy, because the landscape changes a lot. Important as well is the free time you're going to have in Arles and Avignon to discover the city by yourself, right? And if the sailing is in June, what I need to say is the local markets that start, right? Because we have lavender season coming in July. So July, first week of July is lavender. They are collecting the lavender, but they celebrate it already before. So they start in June. So June, you have all these flea markets. They were going on last year. So I'm pretty hopeful for this year, next year.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like we've got any more questions coming at the moment. So thank you everyone for joining us. And well, do you want to say something else before we go, Simeon?
The only thing I was going to say is we'll email around a copy of this recording with some details. If anybody wants to ask questions to us directly, please do feel free. And thank you all very much. And goodbye.
Yes,
A bientôt.
Thank you, Rachel.
I'm gonna drink wine.